Hello, my noble band of outlaws. Outlaw Samurai coming at you live with a video. And today, I just witnessed a very controversial fight. And no, I'm not talking Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson. Okay, I didn't even watch that because I knew it was rigged from the beginning. Alright? And I'm not saying that because Jake Paul won. I'm saying it because the fight was orchestrated in the first place. If Mike Tyson was young and in his prime, roughly around 30 years old, then he would have turned Jake Paul into a light appetizer. But I digress. No, the fight in question is the GOAT, the Giga Chad, the OG hentai. For those of you who don't know, hentai can also mean pervert in Japanese, depends on the dub and or sub. The one, the only anime master that I would want to teach me hand-to-hand combat, Master fucking Roshi! Put some respect on his name. Versus Yugiro Hanma. Now, you're probably wondering why I'm so goated on Team Roshi versus Yugiro. And it was a fan animation. And honestly, it was pretty damn accurate to how a fight between Master Roshi and Yugiro Hanma would actually pan out. Now, the Baki fans among us are going to be like, Yugiro could completely smoke Roshi. Doesn't even need the demon back to do it. For those of you who don't know, Yugiro Hanma is the most powerful living creature, and that is how he is described in the Baki manga and anime in his verse. He is basically the character that all other characters are scaled to. Alright? He's so powerful, and according to the US government in the Baki world, Yugiro is so ungodly powerful that if he was shot at with a nuclear warhead, could tank that shit and walk out of it like the Hulk on a Sunday afternoon. However, here's the thing though. I could probably, if I really wanted to, look up all the feats, the scaling and everything, but you really don't need it. Yugiro has nowhere near the power, capability, or strength to beat Yoshi when he's holding back. That ain't even considering when Yoshi takes off the turtle shell and goes into his buff form. For those of you who don't know and haven't watched OG Dragon Ball where Roshi does most of his fighting, Roshi is powerful. He was even picked to be on the Tournament of Power in Dragon Ball Super. And actually tanked hits from a Super Saiyan Goku. Now, Goku was, I believe Goku was Super Saiyan when Roshi had his mind controlled. But, again, even if he was Super Saiyan, it would be holding back. Just like Krillin was able to tank a punch from Super Saiyan Blue Goku, which I want to believe that was just like the bare minimum power of the blue base form. Like if we were just bare minimum Super Saiyan Blue, Krillin tanked one punch. Roshi being much older, but that's a whole other thing. Okay, so Roshi, for those of you who don't know, was the quote-unquote first and potentially, at least in my head canon, the greatest teacher Goku ever had. Especially when it came to getting other old martial arts masters to train Goku. Roshi pretty much taught Goku from an early age that there's only really two ways to get old Dragon Ball masters to train you. Either you show potential, or you basically set it up so that they get to honk some titties. I'm not even lying. Look at Goku when he got this old Kai in the Buu arc to train Gohan. He pimped out Bulma. Which, I can't even lie, if I was in Dragon Ball and Goku offered, and I had something Goku wanted and he offered Give me a chance to nail Bulma. There you go. Don't even need a second thought. Let's go. I just have to worry about Vegeta. But aside from my Dragon Ball fantasies as all other Dragon Ball, yeah, you're not a true Dragon Ball fan if you've never answered yes to would you smash Bulma. But that's aside the point. So, Roshi versus Yugiro. So, like I said, for those of you who've never watched the OG original Dragon Ball, which that's what it was originally called, not Dragon Ball Z, not Z Kai, Dragon Ball. Toriyama's original masterpiece. Roshi trained Goku in how to fight. He trained him in how to use his martial arts. He trained him on how to do the Kamehameha, Goku's classic technique. Yes, Roshi was the one who invented that shit. You know the Kamehameha that every Z fighter, except for Yamcha because he's trash, spams, and Tien, but Tien has the Tri-Beam. Every human Z fighter, except for Yamcha, spams that shit. Roshi was the one who taught them how to do it. I think Tien's even used the Kamehameha. Now, aside from that, whenever Roshi fought a powerful opponent in OG Dragon Ball, he dumped the turtle shell, which was a training weight. That damn thing weighed about a ton. And then he would go from scrawny to buff muscle form. And the buff muscle form, I want to say, is Roshi's actual form, and that he condenses his form to save on power. Similar situation to Frieza, but instead of controlling his power, Roshi just condenses it to save on it. Why use excess power if you don't have to? The living embodiment of, why would I kill a fly with a cannon? Not only that, but in base form without the muscle form boost, Roshi is casually releasing Kamehamehas powerful enough to blow up the fucking moon. Okay, Roshi is a planetary level destruction force. And I know what you're going to say. Well, Outlaw Yugiro stopped the earthquake with one punch, not even using the demon back. And I keep saying demon back, and I'll get to Yujiro's analysis in a second. But yeah, Roshi casually blowing up the moon. True, this did take a considerable amount of strength on his part, but that's factoring in that he had already fought a Kid Goku to near defeat, and also his other matches in that tournament as well. So Roshi wasn't even at full strength in his base when he blew up the moon. Now, on to Yujiro Hanma. For those of you who don't know, Yujiro Hanma is this guy. And I love the Baki anime, don't get me wrong. I am a huge fan of Baki logic. The weirder and stupider shit sounds, the more it works in Baki. But yeah, Yujiro's most impressive strength feat thus far, and his most talked about feat, is when he stops an earthquake with his bare hands by punching the earth. Now, couple of little things here. One, Japan is an island nation, so it's not exactly like his attack, like I would scale his attack, this punch, to a continental level of destruction. And two, Japan rarely experiences earthquakes, I want to say, above 4 to 5 on the Richter scale, which, as far as I'm aware, are not extremely huge earthquakes when you compare them to other earthquakes of larger proportions, like a 6.5 or an 8.5, something like those. So I would say that in terms of his destructive potency, Yujiro's punch was more than likely state level. Since I live in the United States, I'm going to break it down from continental to state level of destruction. Not so not so much city level, although he is strong enough to shake an entire building with just the vibrations from his rage, as shown when he basically got disrespected by Muhammad Ali Jr. in the Escape Prisoners arc. But in terms of raw destructive power, while Yujiro may be able, and here's the thing, they don't even know if he actually can survive being shot at with a nuke. He's just so damn strong and skilled at fighting that they think he can. That it's more along the lines of, we don't know if he can actually do it, but firing off a nuclear weapon just to see if this motherfucker can survive it is not something that the rest of the world is really going to like us doing. So it's not so much that Yujiro can survive a nuke, it's just they've never dropped a nuke on him. To find out. Which, honestly, if you really wanted to test if Yujiro could survive a nuke, why not just have him stand at a nuclear test site? All you have to do is just run a PR campaign of you're testing a new kind of nuclear bomb. I mean, I think they still do that in Arizona till today. And then just drop it on Yujiro and watch and see if he comes out. Personally speaking, I am not of the fan base that believes Yujiro could survive a nuke. I feel like he would be completely disintegrated into nothingness. But that's what he believes, so I'm at least going to put his durability at nuclear level of durability. But then again, Roshi is casually releasing energy blasts that make nukes look like firecrackers for one, and is taking punches from people with planetary busting levels of power. We see this in Dragon Ball Super with Goku, for example. And in the Tournament of Power arc, where Roshi is a combatant. Keep in mind that the Tournament of Power is supposed to be the strongest combatants from all the different universes in Dragon Ball. There are Saiyans from Universe 6, not just Earth Saiyans, or Gohan, which Gohan became a trash character after Cell fight me on it. He did not deserve Beast form. Okay? Gohan does not deserve Beast form. Alright? Piccolo deserved his Orange Piccolo transformation. Okay? Beast Gohan was completely undeserved and only there for plot. And you're telling me he can defeat Ultra Instinct Goku or at least fight him to a draw? No, okay? If y'all had let Toriyama cook with Gohan and let him be the main protagonist after Goku died versus Cell, then I'd say this was completely deserved. But that's aside the point. That's going to cause some Dragon Ball fighting in the comments, I know that for damn sure. Well, it's not even from lack of trying. But, I digress. So, Yujiro, if his strongest feat is statewide destruction, and the same could be said of a nuke, one good-sized nuclear bomb could destroy pretty much half of a regular average-sized state. I'd wager to bet that if a nuke was dropped in the center of Indiana, over 3/4 of it would be destroyed and completely uninhabitable. But that's just me. I live in Indiana, so take that with a grain of salt. I honestly cannot see in any feasible way Yujiro would be able to defeat Roshi. And I know I've been mentioning the Demon Back, and let me explain. So the Demon Back is a power that Yujiro possesses. So there's all the members of the Hanma, Yujiro Hanma, bloodline, except for Jack, which there's a whole separate thing about Jack that I'm not getting into. He's another one of Yujiro's sons alongside Baki. Now Baki actually has the Demon Back and the Demon Brain. And the Demon Brain is a thing unique to Baki alone. But basically what the Demon Back is that when it's basically Yujiro's, you could say Yujiro's version of a Super Saiyan boost. When Yujiro's in his base form, he's extremely powerful. When he uses his Demon Back, any prior damage that he took in the base form is pretty much null and voided and erased. It basically heals Yujiro and ups his power. I want to say maybe he gets 10 times stronger. If we're going to give it a power boosting scale, we'll put him at 10 times his base. Even at 10 times his base, if his demon back is active, if it times all of his abilities by 10, so 10 times the strength, 10 times the durability, even if we're being really generous with the upscaling of his powers, Roshi just outclasses Yujiro in base alone. That's not even considering muscle form Roshi. So there is no way in hell Yujiro could beat Roshi. There's only one conceivable way I could think Yujiro could defeat Roshi. And that's if he learns how to manipulate ki and trains with it. And even then, I don't know Roshi's exact power level. But according to the guidebooks and what I've learned, a power level of 1,000 plus is planetary busting. So unless Yujiro can obtain a power level over 1,000 plus, he would still be no match for Roshi. Now, how Yujiro would obtain that kind of power, I don't know. But he could if he trained. And even then, Roshi's over 500-ish years old. I think he's either between 300 and 500 years old. So he's had centuries of experience fighting. So there are tricks and techniques he could pull out that could actually just completely null and void Yujiro's training. He has a technique where he shoots lightning at you and it completely paralyzes you. He used that technique, I believe, against both Goku and Krillin. And then there's also Roshi's, arguably his most powerful technique and his most dangerous, especially with Yujiro and the way Yujiro is, Evil Containment Wave. For those of you who don't know what the Evil Containment Wave is, it's basically a sure shot technique that if you do it right, any evil opponent you fight will basically be reduced to energy and then sealed within a jar or an urn or whatever it is that has a lid, and you put a talisman on top of it. In OG Dragon Ball, they used a rice cooker because they had nothing else around, and it was funny. Trunks used it against Zamasu in Dragon Ball Super as well, which would have worked if they didn't make Goku completely mentally stupid in Dragon Ball Super and made him forget both the senzu beans on the toilet and the goddamn talisman at Roshi's. Of course, they had to have Zamasu come in and completely null and void the whole thing. But the point I'm trying to make here is that there is no conceivable way, in my opinion, that Yujiro could defeat Roshi. But if you have a differing opinion, comment it down below. I want to know your thoughts and opinions. I guess like, subscribe, share, all that malarkey. I guess I'm becoming more famous recently. There were a couple of you noble outlaws that wanted to take a picture with me, which I happily obliged. Sorry if I made a weird face. That was the first time anyone's actually asked to take my picture that wasn't related to me. But in any case, so until next time, my noble band of outlaws, Outlaw Samurai, tell all y'all be crazy rednecks, be safe, use your weapons, I'm out. Peace. And if you were wondering why I had the dowel in this video, it's simply because I don't feel right not having a sword in my videos. And that's the one I picked.